Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 228. You know what we're going to be doing, having a look at the market, how it developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly, what we can expect for the upcoming week. Now, next week is very busy, packed with very important news. Meanwhile, this week, it was a little bit of a consolidation, not really clear moves happened this week, so I do believe next week is going to be key. So of course, let's jump into the analysis. Let's try to throw a little bit of a forecast. However, always be aware that anything could happen. Monday could open, picture changes. So again, we have to flow. With that being said, let's get into it. Before we jump into the technicals, let's have a look at the fundamentals at the economic calendar for next week. So we are starting Monday with some NZD news, USD speech, and then we have a speech from Bank of England governor, however, a little bit late. So again, Monday, I am personally not going to trade on Monday, knowing what is coming on Tuesday. So again, on Tuesday, we have NZD inflation here, GBP red news, but then we have the USD CPI. So that is pretty much the highlight of this week. So I'm only going to trade after Tuesday and especially after 3:30 p.m. And then of course, all the rest of the days are going to be perfectly tradable. Why? Because Monday, it's going to consolidate to set up for CPI. CPI is going to make either the manipulation or is going to make an expansion to show us potentially where the market wants to go. And then the next days are going to be clear. On Wednesday, we can see we have CPI for the pound. So again, after US CPI, following with a pound CPI, GBP USD could be interesting, right? And then on Thursday, we have a lot of news. So on Thursday, it is going to be my personal focus day because then we have news both in Asia for the AUD, London session for both the pound and the euro. Very good for EU and GU altogether. And then we have USD news, a lot of USD news as well to trade all the USD pairs pretty much. And then on Friday also, retail sales for the pound. What I spot is that we have pound news here, pound news there, pound news here, and pretty much pound news there and here. So the GBP is going to be crazy this week. Hopefully it's finally going to exit out of its consolidation. And of course on Friday we end up with PPI for the USD and the consumer sentiment. So very important news. The highlight being the pound and of course the USD. And here and there we have a couple of Aussie and NZD news. So those are all the pairs pretty much that we're trading. So with that being said, keeping in mind the calendar, let's jump into the technicals. All right, as always, we're going to get started with the Dixie. Now, once again, similar things that we are doing every single week right now. We're having a look at the highest time frame, which is the monthly, because we are currently testing a monthly imbalance. And what we can already see is that the market is starting to reject. Now, when the market enters such a higher time frame, it can be pretty much everything, right? Support and resistance, supply and demand, the OB, whatever it is. When it's on the higher time frame, it is going to take the market a lot of time to cause a reversal, right? If you're trading on the 50-minute, it's just tap and go on the intraday, but on the monthly, it is going to take time. So again, right now, we're starting to reject a little bit from the monthly. And what we essentially want to see is all the time frames starting to shift lower. Now, we're dropping onto the weekly time frame and we see a beautiful rejection this week. Again, not a very big move, quite uncertain. We actually this week tapped into it and we rejected very nicely. What I do not like entirely is that we also created a weekly imbalance going higher. So again, I'm currently looking mainly at momentum. Those imbalances are pretty much momentum. And we can see on the weekly, we're coming in with very nice momentum going higher. So again, next week, what I truly want to see is, for example, the market to open and to start, like, for example, for Monday or Tuesday to fully close below this weekly imbalance. So then that is potentially going to give me a clear bearish bias. I do not want to see for the market to tap in and to start printing hourly structure bullish. All right, so that is my first requirement if I am to go bearish. If I'm to go bullish, of course, I'm going to wait for that weekly to tap. And then, of course, we can have one more run into that monthly imbalance. Although, again, we're having a whole week of a rejection, so anything could happen. Now, we transfer onto the daily and we see exactly the same thing, right? We're having a very strong push up, and then what we have is 4 days of consolidation. So if you actually try to look at it a little bit behind the scenes, you can see NFP Friday exited the consolidation, and just Monday on the market open after NFP, the market just opened, didn't really make a pullback lower, and just pinked into the monthly imbalance. So Monday, pretty much Monday, did its job. The job of this week was to pretty much tap into that monthly imbalance. And what you can see happening later is just a chop. It's just building the consolidation. Why? Well, for this week, the upcoming week, Tuesday, CPI. So what we're having right now is also a lot of daily momentum going higher. We had two imbalance areas. One was right here, and then the other were just below it. That kind of right now overlaps with the weekly, right? But it's already tapped. So what I essentially want to see right now is clear direction. I want to see the daily time frame similar to the weekly to either print a very nice bullish candle, which could be manipulation again coming into the monthly zone, or preferably to print a very nice bearish candle, maybe then even one more to form a very nice daily imbalance. And then of course this low right here is going to become weak. But until we start getting that momentum shift, then I'm still pretty much on the sidelines. And again, when the daily is unclear like this, 3 days, even 4 days of a consolidation, we drop onto the 40 time frame where again things get messy. Things get messy. Why? Well, because again, we pushed up from here. We were pretty bullish. The market printed that forward imbalance. Again, tapping into that monthly zone. Is this a high probability trade? No, because we're just tapping into a monthly zone and you can see the market taps, tries to push higher to attack the highs, but it fails, shifts lower and starts creating bearish imbalances. That is pretty good. But then those bearish imbalances are entering into daily ones to the left, right? So then of course we have this confusion right now. So what is happening? We are right now in a supply and demand sandwich. So there is your top part of the sandwich. There is your bottom part of the sandwich. So again, we have to break out of this sandwich. So again, guys, what I'm going to tell you is we have to wait. And even if I try to force it a little bit on the 40 time frame, again, it's just scalping. We had a bullish imbalance here. The market tapped in. It failed to push lower. It came in with bearish ones. So here there was a short, very nice short on Friday, taking out the low. Did Friday actually make a clear push lower? No, just printed this candle and then it started consolidating. So right now on the hourly, we have nothing. On the daily, we have nothing. So guess what, guys? We have to wait. And personally, I am waiting for Tuesday. And then I'm going to be updating you on Wednesday. Because right now, it's meaningless to tell you the dollar is going to do this or it's going to do that. I have no idea. And if there is somebody, for example, there was a person in the comments who came in and said, EU is going to go to the floor. Well, could be. Right? Could be, but again, nobody knows. So again, wait for price to show us what it wants to do, and then we're gonna strike. With the uncertainty of the dollar, we can of course right now expect all the USD pairs to be a little bit boring. However, they are not really, because they're almost all of them are tapping into those monthly key imbalance areas. There is Euro USD coming in again this week, pretty much. Monthly candle looks like an indecision. So again, it can start looking in a lot of ways. It could push once more lower. It could start rejecting. It can close as a consolidation so that then maybe March is going to pop higher. It is difficult to forecast. This is why we also need the lower time frames to give us a little bit more clues. Now here again, similar to the DXY, we're having that weekly imbalance that just printed, which is again not very nice. What I told my team on like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is I would really prefer if, for example, Friday's candle came in to close that weekly imbalance so that we do not have it. But unfortunately, that did not happen, which means that we could potentially get a trading opportunity. Why? What I see right now in the daily is that there is no kind of clear push to the upside. It's very, very, very corrective. And again, if we could just open and pop higher, that would be good. But currently just reading price, it doesn't give me a lot of reversal vibes, right? There is no clear candles higher. They're still kind of very consolidative. And we're still kind of lingering around this daily imbalance. Although we kind of came in 3 times. I don't think it's very relevant right now. But I would expect potentially that weekly imbalance, because we're right now again in this sandwich. You can see we're coming in from a monthly, tapping into a weekly. And right now, this is usually where you have that consolidation area between two hard time frame supply and demand zones. And again, it's all about the battle between them. So daily not clear. Hourly also absolutely not clear. I mean, structure was bullish. We had a trend change here. Then we had a structure break there. Then we have a trend change down there. The market did not form imbalance going lower, which immediately told me, all right, this push lower might not be the clear shift. Then we have a liquidity grab higher. Why liquidity grab? Because it looks like with wicks, there is no imbalance going higher. So nothing clear on the daily, nothing clear on the hourly time frame. The only thing that I would expect maybe as some sort of a manipulation is for us to tap into that weekly imbalance at the beginning of the week and then maybe to reject. How big the rejection is going to be? Is it going to push all the way lower? Is it going to come around the middle to maybe take out this low? Or is it just going to reject and then continue going higher? We do not know. But something that I see as potential high probability scalp, I would say, is if we come inside this weekly zone right here, and then we start seeing, for example, 50-minute or hourly shifts to maybe get a quick short, right? But this is a low probability trade. So what I'm going to say, guys, on EU is wait for CPI on Tuesday, wait for a clear bullish or bearish daily candle, wait for a clear hourly structure with imbalances to start printing, and then we're going to strike, because right now it is tricky, and guess what? We have to wait. Extremely big week ahead for the pound. As we saw in the news overview, we have pretty much pound news every single day next week, which is extremely interesting because that is actually a fact. Every single day we have pound news. So that is going to be very, very interesting for the pound. Again, we have to be really careful how we navigate it. Now, here on the monthly time frame, we did not yet tap into that monthly imbalance, which means two things. DXY and EU already tapped. That means that GU might not need to tap because the overall sentiment of the market could shift. Or it means another thing, that if GU hasn't tapped yet, maybe it wants to go down. So that means that we're going to have another run higher on the DXY and another run lower on EU. Keep that in mind. Always think about all scenarios, because right now you can say, nope, DXY tapped in, GU is not going lower. And that is the wrong language, because it could potentially go lower with the news, which means that the DXY could also make one more push higher. So again, be open-minded. Now, dropping onto the weekly time frame, here again, similar to the rest of the pairs, man, this GU is very, very, very choppy. And I mean, even this weekly imbalance doesn't look good. So we, again, similar to EU, similar to the DXY, we're having this weekly little bit of a gap right there, very, very, very small. And again, the key question is, are we going to open, pop in, and reject lower? Look at the weekly candle. It went lower and it massively rejected. So it makes me think that it doesn't make a lot of sense for the market right now to come all the way down. But again, it's not about what makes sense. It's, I mean, it's the market. Everything makes sense. It can do anything it wants. Now, on the daily time frame, once again, guys, super unclear. We had this massive push lower, created that bearish imbalance. But even on Wednesday, we broke above it. At that time, I knew that we could potentially go higher. But then Thursday was super choppy and Friday was also super choppy. And then, of course, I transfer onto the 40 time frame. Nothing really. First, it had this imbalance that I was looking to take a long, but this tapped very late during the day. And then it came in again in Thursday, but that was already tested and took out the high. So that was not very relevant. It offered a short. I think I tried to chase this one. But I'm not sure if it actually offered something. I think it did, but it wasn't very clear. Then again, it failed to make a new hourly imbalance lower to potentially show me wants to continue. It immediately rejected. And if you look very closely to the left, it's probably reacted from this. Then it failed to make bullish imbalances higher. So again, guys, what are we having? We're having a chop. It's not clear. It's not clear. And if we just objectively look at it, oops, we are not doing much. We're consolidating. So similar to EU, we could potentially expect a tap inside this weekly zone and a quick rejection. But then the question is it going to be just a rejection or is it going to be a reversal? Again, the hourly time frame, the hourly time frame, the 50-minute are going to show us. So once again, a little bit boring, but we have to wait, especially on the pound. It is cooking for something right now because we have news every single day. But I still believe for all the pairs, we have to wait for that US CPI, because all the USD pairs are, of course, USD pairs. So when the US CPI comes out, then pretty much all the supporting pound news and euro use are just going to be supporting of that idea. So again, patience. Good news is that Aussie dollar and NZD dollar are actually looking pretty nice. And at times I am very skeptical about those two. I see myself kind of sometimes removing them from my list, and I go to check them out. They move very nice. Then I add them back in, and that is when exactly they start chopping around. So I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to those. monthly zone tapping into on AU, monthly candle already rejecting. And what is interesting is that the previous monthly candle already pinked the imbalance, and right now we're technically taking out the previous monthly low. So this candle should potentially, well, not should, but could potentially start expanding higher. That is going to be looking very nice. Now, again, first of all, we need to see like the daily, the 40 time frame change, and what we have this week is that miserable weekly imbalance that we have on all the majors. Why? Well, because that is going to be making a supply and demand sandwich right now, which is something not very nice. You can see also on AU especially, there is no daily imbalances. There is no daily imbalance going lower. There is no daily imbalance going higher. So what are we doing is we're having 5 days from Monday to Friday, 5 days of chop. Push down, pushed up, chopped, push down, pushed up, nothing, right? However, as we start zooming in on the 40 time frame, we again know that we're tapping into a monthly zone, right? So first of all, we shifted structure. Right here, it was not very significant. It was a wick break. It didn't have imbalance. So at the end, this one is not to be trusted. But then we followed through with another break of structure right here that actually caused an imbalance right there. But then again, it came in all the way down. Again, choppy price action to sweep this low. Why sweep? Well, because we see it printed very strongly, didn't stay below it. Also, it came in with an imbalance, rejected for 12 hours, but failed to hold. And right now we are printing pretty much bullish ones. There is a bullish one and we are kind of looking like it wants to go higher. But again, like coming to the end of this analysis, at the conclusion of this pair, what is it doing? It's just chopping around, right? No clear respecting of zones. And pretty much we are right now, again, if I just draw this like this, there is our sandwich right here. What I truly want to see from all the pairs is just daily time frame clear, right? I want to see a clear daily candle to potentially even close above this weekly zone, right? Patience, 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 patience. Again, not very clear. It's currently looking like it's in a bullish order flow because we also shifted forward structure higher right here. But again, this is just trading in a consolidation. So, I mean, this pair, it has also a tiny little gap right here. Very, very, very tiny. What I see as a potential scalp is a tap here. First target the high, second target the weekly imbalance. So that is something that I could potentially see happening. But we have Aussie news. We don't have any Aussie news all the way until Thursday. So that could chop around until Thursday. So again, guys, patience, but that is the only setup I see on the Aussie. Now, NZDUSD is going to be my focus for next week because if I take you, okay, my other screen is broken. If I take you to my other screen, pretty much, we have Tuesday news on the NZD. We have Thursday news. No, we just have Tuesday news on the NZD, and we have Monday news on the NZD. And then I think we have, Thursday news as well. So we have 3 days that we have NZD news. And what we already see happening right here is we're having a very nice monthly rejection. So again, we had the imbalance. The market came in last month, rejected. So it didn't really close below it, rejected. This month we came in. We took out the previous monthly low, and right now we're rejecting above it. So right now, if this goes as planned, we have a lot of pips to work with. That is 200 pips to work with all the way up to that monthly high. So weekly time frame, this is the best pair of all the pairs that we covered so far. Why? Well, because it had a weekly imbalance. Last week it tapped it. It tried to push lower. Okay, and good, it pushed lower, but what did it do later? It didn't continue lower. Right now, this is no longer relevant, so we have no resistance here. There is no sandwich, like I like to call it, right? There is no monthly imbalance here and a weekly imbalance there to cause a sandwich and a consolidation. No, it is just pushing higher. So, daily time frame, what do we have on the daily? This is the only pair. I so much regret not spotting this one because that was the only pair that actually made the daily imbalance going higher. Tapped it in on Thursday. Look at Friday. Absolutely beautiful trade on Friday. So our immediate potential draw on liquidity is going to be that high. So right now the question is, okay, how are we going to be getting there? Well, unfortunately, I fully missed this trade. There is an opportunity here on Thursday and an absolutely bomb opportunity there on Friday as well. Just imbalance, breaking structure, pinked exactly during my trading hours, and right now is continuing going higher. What we are having also is another imbalance right here. So again, it could happen in two ways. We could either If we continue going higher, I would go to the hourly time frame and I will chase price. I will chase price on the hourly until we reach the liquidity target. If we open bearish, and if we tap inside this one, of course, I'm not going to chase it. I'm just going to take the trade. And then, of course, first target is going to be this. Second target is going to be that. This is pretty much the highlight of next week, right? This is the highlight of next week. And especially if you want to be trading early this week, NZDUSD looks pretty good. And we also have NZD news on Monday. So could be looking pretty good. Let's see. Well, gold lovers, I am once again gonna disappoint you probably because gold is doing nothing. So we're having an indecision candle December, consolidation January, February is not doing anything yet. Weekly time frame, it is building some sort of a triangle or a wedge. I'm not even sure what it's called, right? So it's cooking for something potentially. Absolutely nothing clear on the weekly. Daily time frame, if I try to zoom in, no. You can see overall that we had this candle on Monday that printed, right? And then we pretty much stayed within this candle all week. So just look at it like, yeah, Wednesday came to sweep it. No, this is not price action you want to trade. Monday's candle and then 4 days are pretty much staying inside that Monday candle. Not good, guys. Not good. And then, of course, we drop on the 4-hourly time frame, and it's just consolidating. You can also be seeing immediately that not a lot of imbalances are being created, which again suggests there is no momentum, which again suggests that it's a consolidation. So, I mean, here we had one, tapped in, pushed higher, failed to make another one, then pushing lower, nothing. There is the last one. And if we just try to frame an idea on this, not very high probability, but it does look like this low is looking very good. So if you want to trade gold, that is the only setup that I see. In fact, it's not very, very bad, but I cannot really see bearish bias here on the overall daily. It is just consolidating. I mean, yeah, if you look at structure, so yeah, this was the high. It came in to sweep it. So then again, yeah, this low pushed, pulled back, this low failed to cause a push higher, so that also becomes liquidity, and eventually this low can also become liquidity. So I think we could force a short trading idea, but again, I would love to see 4-hourly time frame to maybe make one more structure break, one more imbalance going lower to potentially establish that order flow, and only then we can be looking for shorts, because right now it can just come in and it can continue to consolidate inside the range and do nothing. So again, guys, be careful, wait for CPI, but I do see a little bit more shorts on gold than longs. USD JPY looking pretty good. We can see last monthly candle is expanding. This week, this monthly candle is also continuing to expand. Again, logical target will be this high, first of all. And then what I also love about this pair is that we're having very clear weekly price action. This is one of the very few pairs that is actually having clear higher time frame price action, which by higher time frame, again, like weekly, monthly, weekly, and daily. Weekly imbalance taps, pings, continues, takes out the weekly high. Very, very, very good. So right now we have to drop to the daily time frame to see if we have something new. Here, there was a very, very, very nice trade because again, we tapped into the weekly. Even from the weekly here last week, you could start looking for longs. On Friday NFP, that is when we expanded. What we also create after Monday is this daily imbalance that again suggests momentum going higher. Again, it took a little bit of time. So again, we tapped in on Tuesday. Wednesday came in, took out the previous daily low, rejected, but consolidated. And then the trade was pretty much on Thursday, something that I didn't observe a lot, but of course I'm gonna show you. And right now what we're having, wow, this one is looking good. This one is definitely going on my list, but I know that it's a bank holiday for the JPY on Monday. So don't touch the JPY on Monday, all right? But very simple analysis. What I'm expecting is just potentially higher prices, which is not making a lot of sense for the DXY. If the DXY is going to go down from that monthly zone, maybe it's going to go up. Who knows? Nobody knows. But this is the setup on USD JPY. First of all, tapping in inside this daily zone and potentially trading it towards that new daily high. That is only going to happen, of course, if Monday or Tuesday starts bearish, taps in, and then we potentially go. If it continues to impulse higher, then of course we have to seek lower time frame zones. Now this one, again, at the end of the week, it consolidated a lot, but there was a very, very, very quick trade towards that overall liquidity objective, which was exactly on the hourly time frame. And it happened exactly right here in London session. We were starting to massively push higher. And again, you have to potentially chase price a little bit, because when it goes, it just goes, right? And there was that very tiny little bit of an imbalance right here to potentially know where to enter from. Pink, and there was a beautiful setup down there on the, I do believe it was also both on the 5 and the 1 minute as well, expanding higher and taking out our targets. I journaled this trade, but pretty sad that I missed it a little bit. Now, pretty much that's it. Nothing on the forward time frame, so I am focusing on the daily. So right now, if I'm actually want to trade this one, what I just simply do is on the daily right there, I set an alert, and I am just going to wait for something to ping, just like fishing. You put your rod in there and then you wait. Let's have a quick look at Euro Yen. Overall, pushing up on the monthly time frame. It does look bullish. So again, the first immediate target could be the previous monthly high. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, this is where we kind of don't have anything to work with. In terms of structure, it's kind of still bearish. But you can see it pulled back into the last imbalance. It broke above it. It's rejecting, and it's not pushing away down from it. So this is also kind of another bullish sign. Dropping onto the daily time frame, again, what I required here was to have a daily imbalance to form on Monday, and in fact it did. But then it got a little bit choppy on Tuesday, and on Wednesday it kind of lost me, and also the 40 time frame I think got rather unclear. But then again, you can see the market waits for something, so there was probably something on Thursday that just caused the market to rally very nicely. But what I do like about it right now is that we're having a daily imbalance. Once again, JPY pairs look very, very, very good for next week. So let's see how that plays out. I do believe GJ could also be very good, because if we're having a clear JPY bias, and then with all the news for the pound, GJ could go very good. Forward time frame, I'm not going to look at the forward because there is nothing much to look at here. The last price action is very choppy. There is no imbalances going higher. What does that mean? Is that we are potentially going to pull back into the daily. So once again, guys, very, 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 very clear bias here. Pull back into the zone and then potentially expanding higher. Of course, first target is going to be the daily high. Second target is going to be that monthly high right there. So of course, let's see how it plays out. But I do believe I would much prefer to trade GJ, because that is going to be very volatile. So let's have a look at it. In terms of the monthly time frame, it is not looking great, because we're very, very, very close to the monthly high, and we could just take it out on Monday because we have GBP news on Monday. So that sucks a little bit, because we don't have like a very hard time frame area to target. Here as well, if you remember, we had this weekly imbalance, unlike EJ, which is why I told you last week I much prefer to trade GJ than EJ, because GJ has that weekly imbalance to potentially support price to push higher. Similar target once again is going to be that high, and we're getting very, very, very close to it. Now, can we get a quick scalp into it? Now, again, there is the daily time frame also, with a very nice daily imbalance printing. So the only potential opportunity we could get is if we have a tap inside, my voice disappearing. If we have a tap inside this daily zone, potentially Monday or Tuesday, and then of course it's going to be a very easy target to target this high. That is pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Rejection, pushed up, failed to push lower, expanding higher. Where is it going? Potentially right here. So again, on the forward time frame right now, we saw that a lot of the pairs are just consolidating. So I am going to trust the daily. And if it doesn't pull back, well, good. I don't care, because if it just takes out the high, then of course I'm going to try to flow with it and see what it wants to do. Does it want to continue higher, or does it want to reject? But if it comes in here into that daily, I am going to ensure that I try to get into a trade, because that is going to be a very nice quick trade that you can nail 80 pips, and you could be pretty much done for the week. So that is GJ. That is also EJ. That is also UJ. They all look pretty good. Preferably, I would trade GBP JPY, because there are a lot of pound news that could potentially support a volatile move. All right, let's have a look at some indices. Starting from SPX, well, we are just pushing higher. And at times like this before in the past, I was regretting not selling some of my investments, but I keep making up my mind that I should just hold them. And of course, if it pulls back, then I'm just going to buy more. And then of course, the next one, I'm going to be making even more money, but still those are floating. Now here on the monthly time frame, we're of course continuing to expand higher. It does look like we could have another monthly imbalance. So that is looking pretty good. Very, very, very bullish. Again, all the talks about inflation, about crashes, about recessions, that the worst is yet to come. Where is it? I don't see it, at least yet. Could come in later. Who knows? Another weekly imbalance is created. So again, that previous one becomes irrelevant. Oop, I deleted this one as well. So there is the new weekly one. But looking at price, how it's just running away from that imbalance, it doesn't make it very easy to come all the way back down and then to potentially reject. So not sure what to expect. Dropping onto the daily time frame, we had the daily imbalance here. But again, the market just ran away from it. Very bullish and very hard to be taking a trade right here. I did take a trade on Thursday. It was a break even right here because a very, very, very choppy day. Friday right now expands. And then, of course, if we drop to the hourly time frame, there is just a massive push up. And again, I do use imbalances to potentially show me where the market could pull back to. That is one of the biggest things that I like about it. Because again, before in terms of structure, I'm going to drop it like this. And I would expect an approximate pullback like towards the 50%. Maybe a little bit above it, maybe below it, towards like the overall zone right here. But if we have an imbalance, that pretty much tells you, all right, this could definitely be a place to pull back to. Here, we don't have imbalance. And immediately, I don't like this because, again, we have to be looking for some sort of a pullback and then potentially to start flowing with price on the lower time frame. So honestly, this week, I would much prefer to focus on Forex because it's a very, very volatile week. Of course, indices could also go volatile. But usually what I've spotted is that if Forex is shit, then indices look good. But if then Forex goes very nice, indices are a little bit average. So I wouldn't expect a lot on the indices this week. And honestly, just doesn't look very good right now. We're leaving this massive daily imbalance below, pushing away from it. But on that push away, we don't make any new hourly zones to work with. So I don't like this. It doesn't look very good. So I'm going to wait 2 or 3 days on SPX and maybe towards midweek. If it looks good, only then I can check it back. But for now, much prefer to focus on Forex. And I know that the overall futures, they are just reaching the all-time highs if you do it like this. Yeah, so there we go. Like on the futures, we are just reaching all-time highs. So this is why potentially we did not really pull back towards that daily imbalance right here because we were chasing all-time highs. And as we are right now on the all-time highs, that is when we could potentially start rejecting overall. So it's a very tricky time. So again, guys, be careful with indices. Well, Nasdaq as well, it just keeps rallying higher, potentially creating a new monthly imbalance. It is also just pushing above the all-time highs. Here we have absolutely lovely trade on that weekly imbalance that is following through right now, and we keep pushing higher. Now, again, this week is a very nice expansion. So let's see if next week is going to create a weekly imbalance here. So again, what we would require from price is to not cross below this line, because if it crosses below this line, that could mean bearishness because there is not going to be a new imbalance being created. Dropping onto the daily time frame, do we have something to work with? Well, similar to the SPX, we have that daily zone. Unfortunately, the market did not tap it. And before that, we were quite choppy. But we actually had this weekly zone to tap into. So we pretty much knew that it's going to go higher. But right now, again, it just keeps going higher. And what I would require right now from price, something that I forgot to maybe mention on the SPX, is again, similar to what I did on the weekly, is I would require potentially a new daily imbalance. Because if this one didn't tap, I want to see another one form. So if we have another one form tomorrow, then potentially Tuesday or Wednesday could be good to be looking for a trade, right? So again, I'm just going to mark this low on Monday and Tuesday, pretty much on Monday, not tomorrow, today is Saturday, but on Monday, I would like to see a candle to print that does not have a wick that touches this zone right there. Because if that happens, we're not going to have a daily imbalance. That could potentially mean that we're going to start reaching a little bit lower, maybe for this one or maybe even lower. All right. So very key to wait for Monday. On the hourly time frame on Nasdaq, it does look a little bit stronger. It has this hourly imbalance here. It's getting very, very, very high right now. But that potentially hourly imbalance could hold price from creating a new daily imbalance. So again, that is good news. So that when, of course, on Monday, we maybe take a little scalp from that hourly time frame. But then on Tuesday, we already have a daily imbalance. And then that could mean a very nice tap and then potential continuation for the week. So that is how I see already Nasdaq developing on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But of course, let's see and let's flow. If you are looking to trade DAX, don't do it. It's absolutely choppy. Like again, last month was very choppy, unlike, for example, the US indices that just rallied massively higher. DAX German 40 is chopping. There is nothing on the weekly, 2 weeks of pure consolidation. There is nothing on the daily, absolute chop. Just a very nice, tiny little bit of a consolidation right here, right? And then of course on the 40 time frame, it's also consolidation. So again, I'm not gonna go forward with it because there is absolutely nothing to look at, right? It's just chopping. I tried to trade it. Of course, I'm just observing it. I'm observing it, but again, there is nothing to observe because when the weekly, the daily, and the 40 time frame are unclear, I'm not gonna scalp this one. Again, no imbalance is being created, no clear structure being created, no clear push being created. I am waiting for daily clear candles to show me where this market wants to go. So again, that's DAX. Don't trade it. US indices are way, 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 way better right now. Well, US 30, again, similar to the rest, it's kind of pushing up, but slightly bit weaker. And what I don't like about US 30 is that it usually moves in a kind of a different way. It's a very, I don't know how to call it. It's a very kind of strange index. It usually moves differently. So here, we do not have a weekly imbalance created this week. I do believe maybe there is a little one. No, there is not. So then the one below is right here. Now the key question is, are we going to pull back to that weekly zone, or are we going to respond from something on the daily? Dropping onto the daily time frame, do we have something to respond from? No. What we did also is we kind of looked like we swept this high. We massively rejected out of it. And if we fail to continue above this, then of course that means that this low could potentially become weak, because that is the low potentially responsible for the break of this high. That's the last valid range that broke the high, rejecting. So you can see US 30 absolutely different vibes than what we saw on NASDAQ and SPX. Could that mean that they could also reverse? I don't know. 40 time frame. For example, we rejected right there and we immediately printed a very tiny little bit of a hourly imbalance right here that we tapped in and we rejected. So that right here could have been a very quick short trade, but no. It happened way, way, way too late. That is pretty much market close, so you don't want to trade this. So if you ask me, US 30, it just doesn't look good. And then the last, like, I'm not sure, in the last couple of days, like even since here, the 31st of January, so that is, 10 days, right? It's not looking good. Goes up, down, and then chops, and then down. Like, for example, NASDAQ and SPX are developing way, way, way better. So this is an index that I actually plan to remove from my list because I never find myself looking at it and trading it. So again, I'm going to save myself some time. I'm going to save myself some focus to just monitor, for example, here, SPX, NAS, and German 40 for London, because this one moves very nice in London. And then those are my two boys for New York. All right. So pretty much that's US 30. Nothing very clear. NASDAQ and SPX way, 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 way better. All right, fanatics, here we are at the conclusion. So the highlight of next week is CPI, US CPI on Tuesday. So until this, we do not touch the market because right now, as I keep saying, all the major pairs except NZDUSD are in a supply and demand sandwich. Monthly imbalance is being tapped, weekly imbalance is being tapped, daily and hourly imbalances and consolidations, not good. That is DXY, Euro USD chopping up, GBP USD chopping up. The only potential quick scalp that I see on those pairs is if we tap that new weekly imbalance and we get a little bit of a rejection. So that could be a potential scalp on Monday or not on Tuesday because we have CPI, right? Aussie dollar and NZD dollar are a lot better than EU and GU, especially NZDUSD. Like on NZDUSD, this is the only pair that I'm going to be monitoring early this week and also for the rest of this month. Because again, we're having a monthly imbalance that looks like it's holding. We don't have any weekly resistance areas all the way until here, because that is where we have a little bit of a weekly imbalance that we can potentially react from. Daily is shifting higher. So again, all I want to see is higher price on this one. So I'm definitely going to be focusing more on NZDUSD. Gold is absolute chop. The JPYs are looking very clear, all of them creating daily imbalances and all of them also coming off from a weekly imbalance. EJ, not that much, but GJ, yes, GJ is very close to the target. Another highlight pair will be GJ, another highlight pair will be UJ potentially for longs, right? EJ also looking pretty good. The good thing about EJ is that it actually has a lot of space towards the liquidity target. Meanwhile, GJ does not have that much. But of course, If all the JPYs pull back into that daily zone, I'm going to potentially find the best one. And the best one is usually going to be USD JPY, because that is the major. And of course, for example, Euro JPY and GBP JPY, they're a cross pair, so they don't move very nice. SPX and Nasdaq, I'm looking for a daily candle closure to potentially form a new daily imbalance to potentially trade that on Tuesday and Wednesday. With that being said, let's just wait. This week, very heavy news week. Of course, Tuesday CPI, wait for that. And then after this, we are gonna definitely zone in and focus. Let me know how your week went. Let me know what kind of trades you took. Are you happy with this week? Are you profitable? Are you not? What did you learn? Let me know, and I'm gonna talk to you guys on Wednesday. And make sure to check out my trading setups breakdown that I did for this week.